My name is Sam, and I sell watches. My shop is small, but it is cozy. It sits on a quiet street in the middle of town. Every day, I open my shop at 8 o'clock in the morning. The first thing I do is clean the glass cases where the watches sit. Then, I check each watch to make sure it works well. Some people might think this is boring, but I enjoy it. There is something peaceful about seeing the second hand move smoothly around the dial. One sunny afternoon, a young man walked into my shop. He looked nervous, glancing around as if he had never been inside a watch shop before. "Hello," I said with a smile. "Can I help you?" The man nodded. "I need a watch," he said softly. "It has to be strong and cheap." "Of course," I replied. "Let me show you what we have." I led him to the counter and pointed out a few options. They were all simple, sturdy, and affordable. As he looked at them, I noticed his hands shaking slightly. Something about him made me curious, so I asked, "Are you buying this for yourself?" He shook his head. "For my father. It's his birthday tomorrow." "That's nice of you," I said. "Your father must be proud to have such a thoughtful son." The man looked down. "I don't know if he'll even want it," he muttered. We don't talk much anymore." I paused for a moment. Selling watches is not just about making money, it's about helping people find something meaningful. "Why don't you tell me about your father?" I asked gently. He sighed. "He works hard. He always puts the family first. But over the years, we've grown apart." Arguments turned into silence. Now, we barely speak. Listening to him, I felt a pang of sadness. Family is important, and losing touch with loved ones can hurt. "You're doing the right thing," I told him. "A gift like this can say what words cannot." In the end, he chose a silver watch with a black strap. It was simple but elegant, just like he described his father. When he paid for it, I wrapped it carefully in brown paper and tied it with string. Before leaving, he thanked me, and I could see a glimmer of hope in his eyes. After he left, I sat back in my chair, thinking about our conversation. Sometimes, selling a watch means more than just completing a transaction. It's about connecting with people and understanding their stories. That's why I love my job. Later that week, another customer came in, a woman in her 50s. She wore a bright yellow dress and carried a large bag filled with papers. "Good afternoon," she said cheerfully. "Do you repair watches?" "Yes, I do," I replied. "What seems to be the problem?" She pulled out an old pocket watch from her bag. Its surface was scratched, and the chain was worn, but it was clear that it once held great value. "This belonged to my grandfather," she explained. "It stopped working years ago, and I've been meaning to fix it ever since." I examined the watch closely. Inside, the mechanism was dusty, and some parts were broken, but it was reparable. "I can fix it for you," I said. "It will take a few days, though." "Oh, thank you," she exclaimed. "This watch means so much to me. My grandfather gave it to me when I graduated high school. He told me it would remind me to always use my time wisely." Her words stayed with me as I worked on the watch. Time is precious, and objects like watches carry memories that go beyond their practical purpose. For 3 days, I cleaned, adjusted, and tested the mechanism until it ticked perfectly again. When the woman returned to pick it up, tears welled up in her eyes. "It works," she said, holding it close to her heart. "Thank you so much. You've given me back a piece of my past." Moments like these remind me why I chose this profession. Watches are not just tools for telling time, they are symbols of connection, memory, and meaning. Each one has a story, and being part of those stories makes my work fulfilling. Now, as I sit in my shop, listening to the steady ticking of the watches around me, I feel content. Life moves quickly, and sometimes it feels like we're always rushing from one thing to the next. But here, in this little corner of the world, time slows down. Every tick reminds me to appreciate the present moment, to cherish the connections we make, and to honor the stories behind the things we hold dear.